The allegations of abuse against Eric Schneiderman and his resignation as State Attorney General is perhaps the biggest scandal in New York State politics since the resignation of Governor Eliot Spitzer. Now the question becomes how will lawmakers and prosecutors and voters move forward from here? For some analysis on this topic, I'm joined by Christina Greer, Associate Professor of Political Science at Fordham University. As you were watching things unfold on Monday night in a very short time frame, I mean, what was going through your mind, and did you think it would all happen as quickly as it did?
I didn't until I read the full Ronan Farrow article, and I think he sort of laid out a case where this is clearly some changes needed to be made, but I think that there was an overall feeling of disgust in the sense that there's something going on with electeds in New York State where we have a disproportionate number of men who leave the office in disgrace and or end up in prison. And so we need to ask ourselves how we are training folks, how we are soliciting candidates, and trying to choose the best people to actually represent us throughout the state.
Well, and so we as voters now have a chance to do something about that. There's going to be an interim attorney general selected by the legislature, but then in the fall, for a January 1st term, there will be someone who's not Eric Schneiderman elected. I want to put up the list of Democratic candidates, and I'll say as I did yesterday, this is not an official list. These are names that we have discussed amongst ourselves, names who have either publicly or privately expressed interest. There are a lot of women on this list. Is this a race that now tilts to a female candidate, not only for the reasons because we have qualified female candidates here, but also because the voters are inclined to go in that direction since this didn't work out so well? Well,
I mean, you know, if you look at social media, some people are saying, like, clearly men don't know what's going on and they can't behave themselves.
I didn't want to be the one to say that.
I'm saying it. It might be time to have a grown-up / a woman in charge. But I do think what's even more important, though, for a lot of Democratic voters is they're looking for two things: descriptive and substantive representation. Obviously, Democratic voters want someone who can get in, get the job done, who has the qualifications, but wouldn't it be great if this person also looked like me and was a woman and could sort of possibly identify certain issues maybe more succinctly than a male candidate? That's probably going to be the case for some of the women who are going to run, to say, I'm both a woman and also qualified.
Let's listen to Governor Cuomo's comment yesterday when he addressed this same topic.
The Attorney General's office could be a very important vehicle right now on this sexual harassment chronic issue that the nation is facing. I think a qualified woman would be great, especially in this time.
So that's the direction that the governor is talking about. We saw that list of potential Republican candidates. They have a
homogeneity problem, which I think, you know, visually I think is really interesting. You know, even though it's a mock-up list of the Democrats, of the 18 that you put on the screen, 9 are women, right? And many are women of color. And so I think that for a lot of New York voters, it visually represents the diversity within the Democratic Party, whereas for right now, the Republican list are 3 white males. And that will be a conversation for some, definitely not for all.
Would you agree with the assessment that Letitia James is well positioned?
Well, I think that, you know, at least the whispering class, you know, clearly the governor would like to sort of possibly see her elevated to that position. So that always helps when the governor you know, is trying to usher in some winds of change. But I do think that there are also a lot of other qualified women. So the great thing is, I mean, we're in a moment where if Letitia James becomes the nominee, we know that she has the legal qualifications, she has electoral experience, she has the fundraising background, and she'll be able to, you know, put together a coalition. But the great thing is she's not the only person who can do that on the Democratic ticket.
Christina, nice to have you in this morning. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
Robberies